Lalo, how about you? How did last week look, and what changed?
So not a lot changed in the sense that the vast majority of our client base and our assets are longer term. So we have a decent amount of, we'll call it $500 billion globally, a decent amount in retirement assets, and then another part in foundation, endowment, healthcare type of assets. So really, really long dated. But we tend to think of our portfolios in terms of three broad risks. So corporate risk, equities and bonds, rate risk, where things are, and then real assets, so hard assets, real estate's infrastructure. And all three are ultimately impacted by any types of policy changes. So the uncertainty as to where to allocate capital really came into play. We were somewhat neutral with regards to benchmarks, because all of them have some kind of a global equity benchmark. But if you take a step back and think of corporate risk, what would that do with regards to taxation and policy? What we indicated there. For real assets, some of the areas that we're looking at that opened up over the last few years were infrastructure related due to the Inflation Reduction Act, and could any of those be repealed? So what does that mean on a go-forward basis? And then for rates, rates are where they are today because of inflation. And if there are tariffs, could that keep inflation high? So lots of uncertainty, but all with regards to policy.
So on that last point, you really are starting to look at what's possible through executive action and what will take Congress's at least, I guess, tacit approval and then sort of the time difference on those two dynamics, right?
Yeah, some of us were talking about this, behind. It was really just examining, scenario planning, what could happen if things change. How are your portfolios positioned effectively? Because the policy changes are really what could impact how we allocate capital. So it's the uncertainty around that and just making sure that as we look for opportunities, they're more centered around the longer term types of themes.